In this video, I discuss my wish list for the photography industry as a whole, and hopefully the perfect camera.
1, 2, get down.
What is the deal, beautiful people? Welcome to my channel. My name is Ramon, and here we talk about any and everything photography. Baseline. Yes, I am aware there is no such thing as a perfect camera. There never was, there certainly isn't, and I don't think there ever will be. But I think the photography industry as a whole have all the ingredients to come pretty damn close. So I'm going to list out a few things I would love to see the industry tackle that could really solve a lot of problems that I have. And the first for me is computational photography. Computational photography is one of those things that continues to be thrown in my face on a quarterly basis. And this is because it is best, very well executed over in the mobile photography space. And as new phones continue to come out throughout the year, we start to see some crazy iterations of computational photography. At the beginning of the year, you see the Galaxy series from Samsung. Then toward the real end of summer, you start to see the Pixel. You start to see other companies in between there, and then you've got Apple, right? So all year round, we're starting to see every year. This has been going on for about 4 years now. These cell phone manufacturers are doing amazing things with these tiny sensors that they have on their phones. And it is so annoying to me because in the camera industry, we're at each other's throats about things like sensor sizes. You've got a micro four thirds. Ha ha ha! You're not a real photographer. Or you've got Sony over here. Like, why? Forget what Fuji's doing. It's about the full frame. And if you're not shooting a full frame sensor, you're not doing anything. And then it's kind of like, guys, what are you even saying to me? Because there are these mobile photographers on Instagram that's just eating everyone's alive. You know, they've got all these hundreds of thousands of followers, and the images are rightfully beautiful. And it's kind of like, what are we even doing here? Simple things like tasteful HDR images. These cell phones are able to, from the click of a button, they're able to take 15, 16, 20 images and blend them together to not only create something that's perfectly sharp, but they're able to do it at something that has a very well balanced exposure. Holy shit, there's almost no camera on the market I can pick up and put in auto mode and just take the picture and have it look acceptable. It almost doesn't exist. I have to take a camera, be it Sony, Nikon, Canon, Olympus, Fuji. I've got to take this camera, put it in manual, and think. I have to be a photographer and think, okay, here's the scene, here's the subject, which exposure is gonna work well? Do I want to portray motion or not? Like, sometimes I don't feel like doing that. Jesus, why is it so hard for these camera manufacturers to get this right? If Apple and Google and Microsoft can figure it out, can I get a piece of that, please? Please? If you've ever used night mode on any of these cameras, these phones, then you understand my frustration. Now, let's be clear. It's not that there aren't very promising pockets of computational photography in the photography industry. For instance, Sony is knocking it out of the ballpark when it comes to the work they're doing with their focusing system. This thing is able to pick up face and eyes of even animals from crazy focal lengths. So Sony's doing it. Bravo. Olympus has done some things around where there's machine language and it recognizes the type of subject and switches around the camera settings or prioritize certain camera settings to get the best image. Okay, that's cool. But like as a whole, we are nowhere close in the photography industry to what I'm seeing that's being done over in the mobile world. And I think it sucks. I think we need to be there, because if we're spending $3,000, $4,000, $2,000 for these very specific devices, if this device is all about taking images, then I want to know that this device encompasses everything around this. And I get the argument that, well, if you're buying a camera at that type of that price point, you're a prosumer, you're an enthusiast, or you're a professional, you should know what you need to do to get the job done. I understand that argument, but you know what? When I'm buying a premium piece of machinery like a BMW and I'm requiring it to go at 150 miles an hour all day, every day, you can't tell me that BMW shouldn't include a very trivial feature like a power window. No, all cars should have power windows. I'm not buying that. I don't even want to get into that. These cameras need to do better on the software front. These cameras need to be more intelligent. Some sort of Android customization would be nice. And I know we've seen this in Zeiss. Zeiss came out with a new camera that's, I don't know, it's like $6,000. I don't know what the hell Zeiss is smoking, but anyway, it's a camera that's pretty much built on top of an Android platform. And I think this is the way to go. I would love to see more of this, because coming from a very tech heavy background, I was a moderator on XDA in the Windows mobile days and the Windows Phone days, and even I guess I don't know, I'm a retired moderator on XDA developers. And what XDA developers is, it's a forum for enthusiasts where they take Android phones. Back in the day, it used to be Windows mobile phones, and they sort of break it down. They break the components down, and they fix a lot of issues in the operating system and the various parts of it, and they put it back together and they deliver the package to you. So what that means, these custom ROMs, you take, well, Samsung, you can't do it with Samsung anymore because they lock their bootloaders, which is, I guess, essentially the firmware of the phone. But back in the day, you used to be able to take something from Samsung, maybe a Galaxy 2 or a Galaxy 3, and all of the awfulness that Samsung would put on there, you could strip it out. And you can get it down to just a regular Android, and you could just repackage it without Samsung's UI on top of it. So what that meant was the phone performed a lot better, because those resources that the phone had, very meager resources by the way, weren't straining themselves trying to run Samsung's special sauce. It was just running Android, and that freed the phone up and it behaved like an entirely new thing. And this is something that we look at Sony, we look at Canon, particularly Canon and Nikon, where that community is so jaded with the piecemealing that comes from the manufacturer, where the camera can do all of these amazing things, but Canon purposefully stops it from doing. And I remember, what was it called? I think it was called Magic Lantern, where on the T series, the Rebel T4i, T3i, you could load this pseudo firmware on a memory card and get features like peaking and zebra that Canon just would not allow you to have. And I feel if we went with something like Android, you get that benefit as a consumer, you know what I mean? Where the guys will take something from, let's say, Fuji, for instance, and they'll say, okay, we know that there's this feature that's very popular, but the engineers didn't let us do it. Let's break down the OS and let's enable that feature and then repackage it. That's such a huge win. And I think it's something that would really catapult the enthusiast market when it comes to cameras. And what's interesting here is, in the cell phone world, the ideology of custom ROMs on Android, it increases the longevity of the product. in cameras, in the camera industry, I don't think longevity of a product is a big a thing, because we've all made that commitment to own our cameras for some crazy length of time anyway. But where I think the custom ROM and the breaking down of the core of the camera and building it back up to be better, where I think that could help is it makes living with the longevity a little easier. So a lot of silly bugs and overheating and all of these things that the camera manufacturers just never circle back around to fix, giving it or handing it over to the community so they can fix it, that is so dope to me. And you know, maybe I wrongfully pointed out Fuji, because Fuji is the best actor in this space. Fuji is actually probably the only one that circles back to make sure that older cameras get new features if they can support it, if the hardware supports it. So maybe Fuji wasn't the best example to point out there, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. I would like to see a real platform around recipes. What is a recipe? So for those of you who are not into the Fuji world, Fuji does what's called film simulations. And because Fuji makes film themselves, they meticulously leverage the power of the processor of the camera, the sensor, to emulate the look and feel of film. And recipes, shout out to FujiXweekly.com, Fuji Recipes is an evolution of that. So the gentleman there, forgive me, I forget his name, he takes these film simulations that Fuji sets up, and it's usually about like 8 of them, and he furthers that. He creates these custom versions of the film emulations to emulate other films, such as Portra 400, which is a very popular one that I use on a daily basis. I think this is super dope, and I would love to see a platform around this for all these cameras, all of these Sony, Nikon, Canon, even Fuji. I would like to see Fuji take it to the next level, and I foresee this world where you work, or Fuji works, or Canon, Sony works with particular creators. You think about someone like Samuel Elkins. Okay, here's a Samuel Elkins film simulation, right? Like, that's super dope. And right now, the film recipe is a very underground type of thing. It's something that's only really known by Fuji people. And I hesitate to say filters because it's really not a filter, but if I say filters, then more people will understand it. And of course, you know, Olympus has got filters that you can use on their cameras, but it's kind of not the same. Sony's got filters. They call it profiles. I want to see a lot more around that. I want to see communities around that. I want to see websites and apps based on this, and let's try this filter, download to the camera. There's this entire new world of creativity that we can employ. Like, I think that's super dope. Quick break before I proceed. I want to ask you guys a question. What is something you fantasize about in the camera industry you would like to see come to fruition? What is at the top of your wish list for the camera industry? Leave it in the comment section down below. Speaking of down below, in the description section, you will find links to my creative and professional portfolio, my Instagram, and the newly created Discord group I've created for us to hang out and sort of develop these conversations and go back and forth in real time. If you're enjoying the video thus far, hit that like button. And if you did enjoy the video, or you are enjoying the video, hit that subscribe button. I got plenty more content coming. I'd love to have you around. So yes, I understand that what I'm asking for is a tall order, only because of how behind in technology the camera industry is and how they tend to drag their feet. For these things to really happen, the camera industry needs to step their game up. They need to explore things like system on a chips and start using the same powerful chips that we have in our phones in their cameras. And that'll really be the catalyst and give us the power we need to have these features come to life. I don't see why we can't do that. We're already paying a premium for these devices, and I think it's time that we as a customer or enthusiasts demand more from these companies. Do better, you know what I mean? Give me more power. I'm already paying you $3,000 for this damn thing. Make it do more. I don't want more of the same. I want it to actually do more. I want an evolution of what we had. It's time to move the yardstick forward. I want more from these cameras. So will I get it? I don't know. Like I explained, we're seeing parts of it popping up here and there, and that's dope. Okay, cool. But man, would it be nice to have some of these things come to fruition. What do you think? My name is Ramon. I'm out of here. Peace.
1, 2, get down.